So here's the right hand side of the desk, and the bit on the far right is the bit you've got to make sure is right before you go on air. So you have here your classroom monitor on the far right. You don't have to worry about that, that's speakers for outside. Studio monitor, the second row of buttons, is the important one. Okay, top one lit up on program, that means it's going out on air. So if that's there, you will hear it through the speakers. The monitor is radio speak, or another word for speakers. So they're the speakers that are above the desk now on the two stands. You have here phones, which is obvious. That's the headphone volume. You turn that up or down there. Now also down to your left hand side, I'll show you a picture of it now. There's a bank of monitors there for each individual set of headphones. The far right one, that is for the master control, so the overall volume of all the headphones, and then each one after that is individual. So check that if you can't get any volume from here. And when you do check it, make sure that's turned low. If you turn it right up and then go there and turn it up, you could blow your ears out. So that's monitoring, pretty simple. If you want to monitor AUD, that's Audition, that's the recording channel. Alright, and then here and here should be set to program, so you can hear them going out on air. If they're set to Audition, then you will hear whatever is being recorded in Audition. Alright, so onto the faders. All four faders on this side are mics 1, 2, 3 and 4, and they work in order. Number 1 being a presenter mic, then it's 2 to the left, 3 and 4 left to right. Okay, for each fader on the top it has program, which means it goes out on air, and Audition. Audition must be lit. If it's not lit, it will not record. So you could have 3 mics up or 4 mics up like that, and if you don't have Audition on this one set, it will not record that mic. So make sure that is on, and that will make sure that you record into Adobe Audition. Okay, so for each mic fader, it's very simple. The on-off goes on and off and turns the speakers off when you put the fader up. Always put the fader to the top. Always. Don't put it halfway down. If it's too loud in your headphones, turn the headphones down. Don't turn the fader down. Okay, because that will make the sound quality different. It's not what you hear, it's what goes into the Audition computer. Okay, so 4 faders are there. Always just use the mics you're using. Don't put all 4 up and then speak into 2 of them, because it gives too much background noise. So make sure the mics that you want to speak into are up. Okay, and you can test those by listening on the headphones to when the person speaks into the mic. Simple as that. The dials above, realistically, you don't need to use too much of. Left and right balance is left channel and right channel. The last thing you want is just to be on the left or just to be on the right. So check they are centralized, like so. Trim gives you a little bit more volume if someone's really quiet. Maybe you were doing an interview with somebody and you don't want to disturb them or stop the interview, you'd maybe use the trim just to turn them up a little bit, but always return to 0. Same if they're a bit noisy, turn them down that way. Equalizer, when switched on with the buttons here, gives you a chance for low range and high range in the frequencies, so you can just give people's voices a little bit more high range, a little bit less high range, low range, higher or lower, depending on what you want. You don't need to worry about those really, because everything is set pretty generic on the mics, and the mics work pretty well for everybody. Okay, but you can add a little bit of equalization, and maybe something you'll have a little play with just to see and feel what it sounds like, because it's the same as the settings in Adobe Audition when you do those to process a voice. This is processing it on the desk. Alright, so simple again, just to recap. Faders always to the top when you speak. When you pull them down, make sure the red light goes on, then it's off. Okay, if it sounds too quiet, trim can turn it up or down if needs be. Pan left and right, just check they're centralized. Very, very important. Okay, equalizer can be low range and high range. You turn that on and adjust as you see fit. And you must have Audition on each of the channels you're recording onto. Otherwise it will not record. You'll hear it through your headphones, it'll sound like it's recording, but unless that is on for that particular channel, it will not record. Okay, final things for you to look at are Q, PFL. PFL is pre-fade level, Q is queuing up, same as you will be if you were DJing. Okay, so you can press Q on this channel, and then in your phones here, press Q. And that means in your headphones, you'll get the sound of this microphone into your headphones with the fader down. You don't need to put the fader up, so you can listen. If you're checking somebody's voice or somebody's mic beforehand, you're on air, you do it like that. And the Q and PFL works for any channel you're on. Whatever plays out that channel, if you press Q on that channel and Q here, you will hear it in your headphones. So maybe it's some play out music, maybe it's a pre-recorded interview, maybe it's someone checking their mic, it doesn't really matter. That will allow you to do that. And it's very useful for when you're actually on air live. Final things you would need to worry about in terms of using this side of the desk, okay, is to make sure your monitor is not too loud before you start any music. Just keep that checked. About there is still pretty loud. Same for your phones, about there, otherwise you'll blow your ears out. Okay, your cue channels there, so you can cue and listen to whatever's being cued here on your headphones and on the speakers if you wish as well. Okay, it's up to you. So if somebody who's in the studio, a newsreader, they want to check their clip, you will press Q here, Q on the monitor, and they will then hear it out on the speakers, out on air. Split Q, basically, just split. So one side of your headphones, right, would have one piece of audio in, the output, what's going out on air, and the other side, your left-hand side, would have what is going through the Q channel. Okay, very important. When you've used these, that straight away you return to what you've been doing previously. Okay, so you return it all back to normal. That way you can see if there's any issues. So that is the right hand side of the desk. This is the left hand side of the desk, and all this is things that play out. No microphones on it whatsoever. So let's look at what each channel does and how it works. Okay, so you've got the ones labeled A, B, C, D and Zeta above them. Now Zeta is the playout system, which we'll discuss another time, but it plays out basically track A and track B in the main player. Track C and track D will be what are called hotkeys, which are individual pieces of audio that you play. But if you're on air in Youth Choice or any other radio station, the two you would have to have up for the station to play out will be A and B, because it would go track A to track B to track A to track B to track A to track B to track A to track B. Simple as that. So that is the playout system we have. Zeta and track A and track B are the minimum you must have at any one time for the radio station to play out. If you're playing clips of things or extra jingles, you would use C, and you'll play it out from the hotkeys on the system. And then D there is used a lot of the time to check on pre-fade level we talked about before, check different clips or check endings of songs and things like that. They would always play out on D, as would some of the hotkeys if we fired off lots of hotkeys at the same time. But we'll show you that another time with Zeta and exactly how that works. So Zeta is A and B always up if it's playing out on air. C and D are used as and when we need them. In terms of above the channels, you've got your left and right pan, again centralized all the time. Trim, centralized all the time. If you're recording, you must have Audition on, as we mentioned, and if it's going out on air, program must be on. These can fool you, because if you have either one on and you're set to Audition on your headphones, or just program on your headphones, you'll think you're recording or you'll think you're going on air when actually you're not. So it's good to keep an eye on these ones here, and the program and Audition lights on the right hand side that we talked about just a little bit earlier. Alright, so the other things that can fit in here. IRN laptop. Okay, IRN is Independent Radio News, which is basically a news service we get. We don't really use it, but every hour on the hour it broadcasts the news. So that's why IRN is there. And also we can switch, if you see at the top here, we can change the channel to have two different inputs. And in this case, we press that button and it now becomes the laptop channel. So that's the jack key that you can see, the jack socket here. I'm sure many of you have seen and used. You can plug your phone into it for phone calls. You can plug your laptop into it to play your laptop out. Okay, to do that you would press, with the fader down, this button, and that will put it onto number 2, which is laptop, and you can then change it from a laptop to the IRN or IRN to laptop. Okay, channel 2 we are on there when it's in red. Okay, you can't change it when the channel's up, must be down. Okay, Burley is the system we've got, software system we've got, which basically collates and plays out news and news clips. Okay, haven't used it too much, but that is there. But the Burley computer is the one that you can see next to the Audition one on your left. You could play out YouTube from that, for example, and record it into Audition. So it's useful for that. Whatever's on the internet on this channel will play out, and you can record into Audition because you've got the Audition set on the top of the channel. It's simple as that. PC, that is what you use to play out your Adobe Audition. So you record yourself, you record your friends, whatever it may be. You want to listen to it, that's what you put the channel to. So you put PC up and you'll hear it through that channel. On 2, it plays Youth Choice. So you can hear what's going on out on air at the moment, which is this. Keep your secret safe till the time. 5 points if you can guess the tune. Okay, so that does monitoring, you're checking it's there, and that's fine. Okay, so outside source, OS, here, that is if we might connect one studio to the other, or absolutely anything we can connect from an outside source, it goes through this channel. So we can have, if I wanted to listen to you in the other studio, how you're broadcasting, practicing, I can connect next door studio to this one, or any studio to this one, and I can listen to outside source. Or I could connect Sky News to it, or I could connect another radio station's output to it, or I could connect a satellite feed to it, whatever it may be. Okay, that can go to outside source. Skype is what it says, and we also got Zoom here as well. Okay, it's basically an outside source that you can use for phone calls or for Skype calls or for Zoom calls, and it will record what you say, and most importantly it will pick up the microphone when you speak, and they will hear you on the microphone and you will hear them on your headphones, and it will all record. Okay, that is why these channels are slightly different with the equalizers on, because again, if you haven't got a good Skype call, you might really want to turn up the high frequencies, low frequencies, work with the trim, whatever, just to increase that volume or give the audio more depth. So that is what the Skype is for, and Skype is basically any kind of computer audio that you feed through. So if you had Microsoft Teams meeting, you had Zoom meeting, you have WhatsApp call through a computer, whatever you want, this will work to record into the system and work with the microphone as your telephone receiver or your microphone you have built into your computer. So that is the left hand side of the system of the desk. If you were in Youth Choice Studio and nobody's in there, it's on automation, the minimum you would see would be A and B up Zeta, because that would allow the system to play out what we need. Okay, so if you're ever in a Youth Choice Studio, those two are up, don't touch them. Simple as that. Don't press any of these at the top. Okay, so that is your desk layout and system as one. Right hand side, all microphones and monitoring. Left hand side, everything that we play out.